So while I've really been enjoying my OpenClaw, believe it or not, for better or worse, one of the main things I've been doing with it is talking to it about improving itself, making the OpenClaw experience better, making my little assistant living in the computer more capable. And so today I wanted to share 5 of the main things that I have kind of realized or learned while setting this up that can hopefully help you get things set up faster, make your assistant more capable, and do more things for you. Because while I've been loving OpenClaw, it's been a lot of fun, the usefulness has taken time to really build up to, and I still am at the point where I'm like, I don't exactly need this, but it is kind of addicting in a weird way. So I think these 5 tips will really help you out. So let's just jump in. Number 1 is have and make a document keeping track of each project in great detail. So now I don't know if this is really the best thing for me to do, but I'm trying to get my OpenClaw to do lots of different things. I'm trying to get it to help me with social media. I'm trying to get it to help me with stocks and investing. I'm trying to get it to help me with a website I'm working on. I'm trying to get it to help me look at emails and calendar and just do a ton of different things. And these things are not related. So one of the mistakes it has made multiple times is I have YouTube channels where I talk about either tech or Tesla or full self-driving, but I also am interested in like the Pokemon card market, like graded Pokemon cards, stuff like that. And multiple times it's made me video scripts for YouTube about Pokemon cards, or it's made me video scripts for YouTube's about stocks and investing when I don't make videos about those topics. And it's kind of getting its wires crossed. But worse than that, on a daily basis, when I go to talk to it about something, continue a conversation from the last time we talked, it will have forgotten a lot of what we kind of built up and built upon in that subject. And so now what has helped me a ton is every time I start talking about a new thing, say like graded Pokemon cards or making YouTube videos or making being good at making thumbnails or something like that, I say, okay, now that we've established all this, make a detailed document keeping track of this specific project in great detail, so that next time I talk to you, if you forget, about what we've talked about, or forget some of the details, forget some of the tools we've set up that you can use for this project, you can just go back and reference that and then be caught up to speed. And that has made things so awesome. Actually, since I've told it to do this, which was several days ago, it has not forgotten any of the tools I've set up for it. It has not forgotten what we've been talking about or working on, and it's been able to build upon the past things that we've worked on. Next up, wherever you are talking with your OpenClaw, so I know a lot of people use Telegram, I use Discord, make sure you have different channels for each subject. So here's a screenshot of our Discord channels. And basically, whenever I have a new project or I am starting a new topic or subject, I start a new Discord channel. Actually, I tell my OpenClaw to make a new channel for that subject. And so what I can do is in that conversation, I can just continue off where we were talking about, even if we're coming from a different project. And this actually helps me keep things in order too, because again, I don't know if this is kind of hindering its ability overall, but I want to talk to this thing about so many different topics and subjects that I might only spend, 15 minutes talking about and never again, or I might talk about it for a few minutes and then come back to it 2 days later. But either way, I am topic switching all the time. And when it's all in one thread, one conversation, it can get kind of confusing. And so what I've done is stocks are a channel, Pokemon cards are a channel, YouTube is a channel, X posts are a channel, all these different things. And so now if I want to switch topics because I get ADD and want to talk about or think about something else, I just switch channels and continue the conversation there. It's helped me keep organized because I can scroll back up really easily and see the last couple things I talked about in that subject. But also it seems to have really helped the OpenClaw robot or bot or whatever keep things in context and understand what we're talking about. On top of that, it seems like when you compact your conversation, so these things only have so much context window that they can hold depending on what model you're using before they have to kind of crunch it all down and delete some of that memory so they have more space. I think from what it seems like is each of these conversations has its own context window. So it doesn't have to kind of obliterate, its whole understanding of what you've talked about over the past to then continue listening to you and continue having a back and forth conversation. On top of that, I find I can tell it, look back in this conversation to kind of refresh yourself, and it'll look back within that conversation and be able to catch itself up to speed in case, again, it's forgotten any tools or part of what we've built from that project. Now, this third tip, I'm very mixed about out, but it's been fun so far. Get a second OpenClaw if you can. Now, there's the really expensive ways to do this, which is you buy a brand new Mac Mini, and then you also subscribe to, Claude for $200 a month, or you pay for API credits, which could be well over $200 a month, depending on how much you're using this. But either way, you can also do this for really cheap. Now, Mini Max just came out with M2.5 yesterday or the day before, and it is an incredibly capable model, and you can pay $10 a month and use it with OpenClaw. And I don't know if the $10 a month plan would really quite have enough for you to be going with, but they have a $20 a month plan that's triple the $10 a month plan in terms of how many prompts you can do within 3 hours or whatever their timetable is. But either way, get a second OpenClaw that is dirt cheap, not expensive at all, either set up on a VPS or on a spare hardware you have at home or whatever, and add it in. For me, it's in Discord. Add it into the Discord server, and then you can have these things talk to each other. Because again, the main thing we want to get out of these AIs right now, we have ChatGPT, we have Gemini, and we can talk to them. It can give us stuff back. We can work on it. We can go back and forth, but they just stop right once you stop prompting them. What's nice about OpenClaw and its ability to actually do things is it will continue doing things. And yes, you have the heartbeat file, and you have the cron jobs and stuff that'll get it to continue to work. But what I found is having a second or third or whatever, I don't know, I'm kind of tempted to get like 5 of these things and see them all work together. If you get a second OpenClaw, these things will then prompt each other, and they'll go back and forth for much longer than if you are just talking to the single OpenClaw and you say, hey, build me a website. I want it to track, stocks and report the prices to me twice a day or whatever. The thing will then go, okay, let me build the website. And then it builds the website and that's done. With this, it will talk to its other OpenClaw. Of course, I kind of prompt it and say, like, make sure you talk to, the second OpenClaw we have. And then it will say, hey, Chris wants us to do this. And the other one will say, okay, that's a good idea. Let's add this. And then the first one will say, oh yeah, let's also do this. And they'll go back and forth a few times before they build what you want to build. And it will pull out so many ideas and things that you maybe didn't even think of for you to at least consider. And maybe you don't like all of it, then, in the middle of them talking or once they're done talking, I'll just interject and I'll tag them both on Discord. And I'll say like, okay, I like this and this, but don't do this thing you were talking about. And then they'll, continue building off of there. But again, kind of the cool thing about OpenClaw and what makes it useful, what makes it fun is that it keeps going, right? That's kind of the point. We want it to just keep working, keep doing your thing. And having a second one where they'll prompt each other back and forth really adds to that. Now, my next tip kind of relates to that and kind of builds off of it. And the one thing you want to do, which is really important, is instead of just telling OpenClaw to do things, is ask it questions, tell it to brainstorm, and tell it to plan things out. So what I found is really helpful. Instead of just asking it questions or instead of just telling it what to do, I tell it my idea and I say, don't do anything, but let's discuss this. Let's brainstorm this. Let's plan it out. And that will have it go off with a list of ideas that are either super related or barely related to what you're talking about that will then get your own brain working and doing things, because we don't want to turn too dumb, right? We don't want these things doing everything. We still want to think and exercise our brains a bit. And it will give you new ideas into your brain that you can then process yourself and be like, whoa, I didn't even think about that aspect. Let me build off of that. And then you can go back and forth with the bot on your own. So something that's helped me so much is these key phrases that really get the thing working and pumping and giving you new ideas, which is brainstorm, I found is a huge key phrase. And then plan it out is another thing that really helps me. So I'll have kind of a vague idea and I'll say like, here's my idea. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's plan it out. And the things that has brought up out of this bot that lets me kind of go back and forth with it and then build off of that has been really cool. And then the number 5 kind of tip that I had, and maybe I'll do a bonus tip here, is audit. Like, I don't know if audit is the right word, but it's the word I've been using, and I've kind of rephrased this. So like, perform an end-to-end overhaul of whatever the project is. Reorganize the architecture for better efficiency and autonomously implement quality of life improvements or features that would benefit the current workflow. So that's the copy paste I have for myself that I can paste into the bot. But you want this thing to constantly look over what you've already done, what files you have that you're working with or whatever, and come up with ideas to improve them, make them more efficient, delete old things you're no longer using. Because especially when this bot is working kind of on its own or in the background, I don't know really how to code or do any of that, but this thing will just write programs. Like, if you ask it to do something, it won't always give you all the details about how or why it's doing the thing, but it'll do it for you, right? And so one of the things that my OpenClaw is doing right now is it will pull my videos from YouTube, turn them into a short, post them to TikTok. It does all that automatically. And part of how it did that is it wrote a few Python files to get those things done. It's not like the AI wakes up every couple of hours and is like a human and goes, oh, let me search a video and okay, now this one looks good. It just has a script that will do that automatically for it every few hours and get it posted to TikTok. Well, what I found is that by asking regularly for this thing to audit or, restructure the projects we're working on, is it'll go through and it'll rattle off a whole list of like, here's what we're doing right now. Here's how it works. Do you want to change anything? Or it'll say, actually, now that I'm typing this out, I can delete this part because we don't use it anymore. And it's like this thing that it added when we first started talking about the project, but it's not something we use anymore. And so this has been a huge hack to get this thing to not only improve what you're doing without you even knowing it needs improvement, but to make things more efficient and delete old stuff so you don't get all this junk like kind of straggling along throughout time. Because one of the things that I kind of think about is this thing's there always making files. I don't know what it's doing. It's saving documents and adding and editing documents. It's going to add stuff. And if you never talk about it again, it's not going to ever know to look at that or question it or delete things. And so if you kind of bring that out of it and say, hey, look over what we've done so far, just give a full overview and kind of rethink what we're doing here, it'll then pull that stuff out and tell you, oh, I don't think we need this, or what do you think of this? And you can go, no, delete that or change it to this, or, whatever you want to do in that way. Now, here's my bonus one. I pulled this from somebody off of X. I can't even find the post anymore because I literally, I responded to them and I was like, hey, I'm going to copy paste your, X post to my OpenClaw. And it was the technology to build OpenClaw existed for ages before the founder actually built it. What else is sitting there technically possible that nobody's built yet? And these are the kind of things that like you think AI would be good at, but it's really not that good at it. But it did come up with a bunch of cool ideas, again, that maybe are things we could work on or build that I didn't really think about. And these AI, my OpenClaw bot at least, get kind of stuck on what you've already talked about and what you're already working on. So a lot of the examples I got out of it were, hold on, I messed this up, were things related to what I'm doing. So AI native video editing, personal AI that remembers you because it knows that I get frustrated that it forgets things, automated local business intelligence, AI content arbitrage engines, and then autonomous creator monetization. And then there's other things down here that it suggested. Using this to just pull out ideas that you maybe wouldn't have stumbled upon, or at least would have taken you a lot longer to stumble upon, is what I find is so cool about this. And the fact that it knows you over a long period of time, kind of remembers your preferences and what you like to do and what you want to do. It's good and bad because it does pull out ideas that are related to things that I'm doing and thinking about. And I go, whoa, actually, you know what? I kind of want to build upon that. Or it opens up a new thought in my head where I can kind of move on to something else that I actually want to think about rather than what it said. But at the same time, it's not always thinking out of the box. It's kind of trapped in your universe, your world, and it can be hard to get it to kind of flush itself of what you're already doing and pull in brand new ideas that you wouldn't have thought of. So anyway, hopefully those are helpful. Let me know what you're using your bot for or any other tips you have. Leave those down in the comments, and you will see me in the next video.